2 for balancing equations. I'm going to go through just quickly like an abbreviated. For sheet number 1, I typically take a little bit more time to explain like the very basics from the notes, but here I'm just going to kind of swing through this. We're going to take a look at 1 and 2, and that's going to be, okay, stop talking about it, let's do it. So take a look at the first part on the left-hand side, the reactants over here. I have AS4 and O2. O2 is very common. I typically do O2 last if there's a choice. Notice that AS4 in the compound on the right-hand side in the products, so I have the same on both. So that means that my AS right now is balanced, but then I have 6 then for oxygen. So what I'm looking to do is put a number in front of the O2, and whatever that number is times 2 times this 2 right here is going to equal 6. And of course my answer for that then of course is 3. Now just like you've seen in previous examples, when I write down the shorthand of this, that'll tell you that this is like a 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 1. Those are the coefficients that go in front. If you don't see a coefficient in front, then of course it's a 1. So 1, 3, 1 for number 2. For number 1, I mean. So for number 2, I have my reactants of H2S and O2, and then H2O plus SO2. Notice that oxygen kind of goes with both hydrogen and the sulfur on the right-hand side. You see it here with a 1, and you see it here with a 2. So this is going to give us a problem, and here's how I can recognize that. Notice that my hydrogens here are 2 and 2, so those are good for now. Notice that my sulfur is 1 and 1, so that's good for now. My problem is that I have 1 plus 2 oxygens equals 3 on the right-hand side. So here's what I typically do when I have an odd number of oxygens on one side and I must have an even number because of the O2 on the other side. So what I do is I double I double whatever the compound is that has the oxygen with the single oxygen or the odd number of oxygens. So now that I take the 2 times the 2 to give me 4 H's here, and 2 times the 1 gives me 2 oxygens. Now that changes the number of oxygens I have on the right-hand side from 3 now to 4, which is an even number. But wait, we're not done, because if I change my number of hydrogens to 4, that means I need a 2 over here. That gives me 2 times 2 gives me 4 hydrogens, which is good, but it also gives me 2 sulfurs. Well, I only have, if I take a look on the right-hand side, I only have 1 sulfur, so I need to double that now. So I double the number of sulfurs. I got 2 sulfurs here, but then 2 times 2, and I have 4 oxygens. So see how this works out now. So I have 4 oxygens from here. I have 2 times 1 gives me 2 oxygens from the H2O. So 2 plus 4 equals a total of 6 oxygens on the right-hand side. If I have 6 oxygens on the right-hand side, I must have 6 oxygens on the left-hand side to get the balance. And that's why I put a 3 in front of the oxygen there. So this ends up being a 2, 3, 2, 2. That's a tough one because you have to keep going back and make sure that each one of them is balanced. So let's take a look. I like to always show you ones like number 4 because I have a polyatomic ion here that has parentheses, so you can see what happens with this. So first thing I do is I typically start off on the left-hand side with the first element. That's Ag. Ag is a 1 on both sides there, so that's good. Notice my NO3. I don't have 3 NOs here. I have 1 NO3. Okay, we don't use parentheses and put a 1 outside. That's why there's no parentheses there. But that means I only have 1, when over here I have 2. So I need to balance the number of NO3s by putting a 2 in front of the whole compound. Now I have 2 NO3s like this. And I have 2 on the right-hand side already. That's what this 2 means over here, that I have 2 NO3s. Okay, now what else do I have? Well, I have 2 chlorines here, but I only have 1 over here because there is no subscript there, which means I need 2 chlorines on the right-hand side. So when I get 2 chlorines on the right-hand side and I have 2 on the left-hand side, then they balance, but now I've changed the number of silvers. Notice in both places here, I had to put a 2 in front of both silvers, one on the left-hand side and one on the right-hand side, so that actually means that they're balanced. Notice that Mg has a 1 here, and a 1 here, which means it's actually balanced now. So this ends up being then a 2, 1, 2, come on, there we go. 2, 1, like that. 2, 1, 2, 1. That's the balancing. That's the coefficients in front. Okay, I'm going to let you work on those. These are a little bit more difficult than sheet number 1. Good luck. Please ask questions in class.